Hello everyone, welcome back to another video with me, your friendly neighborhood scooter. Today we are starting in my storage system where, as you can see if you've seen some of the previous videos, I've been messing with my system again before even finishing it. Yeah, I've been reconfiguring some of this, installing some new mechanisms which I will perhaps get to later in the video, but that's not the focus of today's episode. I've also been installing some fancy new stuff in the system as a whole, including elevators and drop chutes with some powdered snow to keep the fall damage away. But that's also not what I'm going to focus on in today's video. No, instead, I think it is time for me to finally put some walls onto this place. The whole thing looks pretty cool when you see all the exposed redstone hoppers and everything, but it would be nice to not worry about creepers and zombies wandering in during the night and blowing everything up. Building out the walls will also help me to figure out exactly where I want to put things on the inside, because there's a few other mechanisms and components of my overall storage system that I want to add eventually at some point. So what I need to do is add some walls that go up high enough that they're going to cover over the top of the storage system, which is quite tall. I would also like to have a big open doorway or gate to the warehouse that can come in right here. So I'll have to build up the road and make it so that it's easily accessible. And then, of course, I'll have to put a roof on this crazy thing. So I'll have to figure out what kind of roof design I want. Because if you didn't know, I've kind of been winging it the whole time with this crazy storage system. I didn't follow any tutorials. I didn't really do tons in creative ahead of time. Probably should have. That might have saved me some of the trouble with figuring out how the whole system is supposed to work. But I've been just going with the flow and putting in aesthetics and things that feel like they would fit. Systems that sometimes work, sometimes don't, and then replacing those systems when I find something better. And the same holds true for the walls. I've kind of sketched up something in creative that I think will apply and work okay. But I'm going to change it a bit, I'm sure, when I actually build it in the world here. But I am actually going to try to get started on that, because the longer I talk, the longer it'll be before I actually build it. And the longer this crazy storage system continues to remain a big mess around me as I retrofit and renovate an incomplete product. This is just how real life works in Minecraft, folks. It's not always as pretty as it looks on some YouTube channels. Maybe this is more of a reflection of how my brain actually works in real life. So welcome to my world, Scooter's world. I'm just living in it. And you're watching it? Is that how that works? Who knows? Anyways, let's get to building. All right, and here we go. I've got the first section of the wall all built up behind me. So as you can see, it's quite a bit taller than my office building attachment here. And I'm going to be repeating basically the same pattern all the way around, at least on the sides where the wall is going to be visible. Let's take a look at some of the details here. I'm using a lot of the new tough blocks. I've got the polished ones lining up the sides there, and then some of the chiseled ones. I think those look really, really fancy and cool, and they fit with the overall vibe. Got copper bulbs and trapdoors and stuff all in the middle. I'm going to have to light at least some of those. I don't know if I want to do all of them all at once, but I'll figure that out as I go. Got some light texturing on the wall, as you can see here, with some mud bricks and granite. And for the pillars, this is essentially just stripped acacia logs with a little bit of orange terracotta just at the bottoms and the tops of the pillars there, just to give a bit of shading, essentially, is all that is. And also, in between that last clip and now where I've built this, I've also done a little bit of work on the back end, and we have shaders, and they make my computer run like a potato. But I think this looks amazing. Just the extra lighting and shadow, and wow, like I've never played with shaders before. I've always been too intimidated by the process of modding to really figure it out. And so now in my 30s, I finally feel like a big enough grown up person to figure this out, and I love it. Now, I can't play like this all the time because it's going to make my frame rate drop to nothing, but every now and then I'll throw these on just so that we can see these builds in a bit of a new light. And yeah, I think it looks pretty fun. So, what I want to do next is continue building the walls all the way around the warehouse, maybe clean up some of the trees and stuff. And chests from when I was digging out the whole area. Lots of cleanup, lots of building to do, but I don't want to bore you with just a couple little clips of building montage. There will be that. I also want to pack in some light entertainment along with that. So I'm going to be using the mace that I got in my last episode, which I have now conveniently enchanted with Windburst. And you might notice it's named Mace Windy. And this is going to allow me to bonk things on the head. And so, yeah, the boring building montage is going to be interspersed by fun, action packed adventure where I smash things from above. So, yeah, enjoy. So I learned two things during that short little montage you saw there. First, building from a template is actually way faster than I anticipated. It was actually pretty quick to put all the extra walls and everything together here, all the details. Had a lot of fun. We'll take another look at that in a moment. The other thing I learned is that the mace is actually pretty tricky to use. Like, I can often get the smash attack, although here, maybe not. But getting the second one is actually really hard. But I think I'm going to get better at this because it's a lot of fun. So if you're still out there searching your own trial chambers in your world and you haven't found the heavy core yet, keep searching. It's worth it. But let's take a quick peek at some of the details we've got on the warehouse here. It's not totally finished on the outside. There's still a little bit of texturing and detail work that I want to do, but for all intents and purposes, the walls at least are essentially done. So first you might notice a big open area right here. I'm going to put some sort of sign for the warehouse up there. Not quite certain exactly what that's going to look like yet, but I've got some ideas. I also installed some garage doors on the front here, which I think are pretty neat. There's like the mechanism up there for retracting them. I think that turned out pretty well. And then you'll notice that all of the copper that I put into place, a lot of the trap doors and everything, I just used the regular copper. I didn't wait for it to age and then put it up after that. I just figured let's put it all up and it's going to age on its own while I continue the rest of the build. And I mentioned texturing. So, like, as you can see, all these brick walls, they're just the plain brick. I don't have any of the other, like the granite or the mud bricks thrown in there. I'm not sure how much I'm going to do of that on the back side of the building, but definitely on the front, I want to do a little bit more. And along with that, I'm going to come along and once all of the copper has fully aged, I'm going to take my handy dandy axe and spend a bit of time de-aging some of the copper, de-waxing in some cases, and then I'll add a bit more wax, and that way the copper can be nice and multicolored, as it should be. I've also done a tiny bit of work on the inside. I've added some big support pillars that can help hold up the roof and the storage system adjacent to it. And on the interior here, I have added some copper bulbs for lighting because I still have to put the roof onto this thing and I don't want to turn this into an unintentional mob farm. Seriously, if I had creepers spawning in here blowing everything up, I would not be a happy scooter. Another reason why I should be putting a roof on this thing, it's raining. Now, one other thing in terms of added layers of defense for this place, it looks, wide open door, just about any creature can wander right in. No, that's wrong. They can't. Because here, I've got a few layers of carpet. And those wandering zombies and creepers, they're going to wander right up to here and say, oh, there's a hole there. I can't walk across that because they are not smart. But I am. So it's a very handy way of keeping unintended guests out of your spaces without having to put up actual walls or fences or anything like that. But it is now dark. It is raining on the inside of my factory. And I want to avoid water damage because I don't have any flood insurance on the place. So why don't we throw a roof on the top and that's going to fix that problem for us. Okay, so for the roof design, let me walk you through the design I've picked out for myself. So we're going to be using some cyan terracotta just behind here like so. I'm actually going to be taking out a little bit of the copper here and building up like this. Along here, we are going to have some deep slate bricks. And then there's going to be a little bit of a design on the front here. If I go like that, and then like that. Okay, I think something like that. Let's pop on down here. Yeah, I like that. Now for the actual roof itself, I'm going to use some different materials, more stone and lighter things. And then I'll put a whole bunch of air conditioning units and vents and pipes and all those random roof details we all love. Put a bunch of those on the top. And yeah, I'll see if I can spend a bit of time texturing, at least texturing the front walls of the warehouse, since that's probably what's going to end up in the thumbnail, right? And then once all of that's done, then the warehouse is done. On the outside, at least. The inside details and all the extra stuff I want to add, that's still to come at a later point in time because time. Time is the most valuable resource on the planet, folks. Don't waste it. Don't squander it. It doesn't come back. And let me tell you, as a dad to a kid who's almost a year old now. Yeah, there's never enough time. Never, ever enough time. So I'm going to stop wasting my time blathering here and let's put a roof onto this thing finally. And yeah, I'll show you the final result once I have a final result to show you. All right, here we go. The grand reveal of the roof of the warehouse. Let's swing on in and take a closer look at some of the details here. So starting from this end, we've got some big pipes. I'd like to think of these as air vents, I guess. Yeah, air vents, venting out air. That's what they do. There's also a bunch of these things, which are just random roof things, you know, scattered around because why not? For this, I used iron block, mini blocks, and there has been a change to the data pack that I use for these. It used to be that you always had to purchase them from the wandering trader. You never knew what was available, and you could only get so many at a time. But recently, Vanilla Tweaks, where I get that data pack from, they've made it so that you can just craft them directly in the stone cutter, which means way easier to obtain. So thank you for whoever thought of that idea. That's much, much smarter. Moving over here, we've got some looms and iron bars and stuff. And yeah, this is some sort of other roof thing. Hey, what are you doing? There, that's better. And then I've got iron trap doors acting as conduits, moving power one way or the other to some of the other things we've got here. Over here, I decided to use some frog lights in the design of whatever this roof thing is meant to be. And that's so that the lighting prevents mob spawns right here over the main entrance. Because I do not want creepers spawning on the roof and dropping down on me every single time I enter and exit the warehouse. Along those same lines, I've also got a line of glow lichen surrounding the entire roof just to give that little bit of light on the edge and again discourage mobs from spawning where I don't want them to spawn. The whole roof itself is obviously not spawn proof, so I'm going to have to be careful whenever I venture up here. Coming around here, we've got some more pipe action going on. I like the way that this turned out. Some little smokestacks on the top there. And this is the entry hatch. So I come in through here. Got a little way into the warehouse. So I enjoy how that turned out. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the roof. Let me know what you think of the random roof details. I think they turned out pretty well. You know, roofs are very strange things when in an industrial or like a city sense. There's always these random things on the top, and I don't think anyone knows what they do. They're just there, I guess, to make it look interesting. And that's the philosophy that I took when coming up with the design. Now you'll also notice on the front here, I've got Scooter in big block letters. I like the font that I've used. I didn't really look anything up. I just kind of winged it, and I think it works, especially when you use different colors to signify where the different letters are. I think that turns out pretty well. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and name this whole industrial complex we're building, rename it from Industry Incorporated to Scooter Industries. I also added a nifty little painting trick with a banner over here so that I've got another way to go in and out of the main office space. And hey, what are you doing there? That Enderman does not have clearance. What? You don't work here. Now, as I was about to say before I was so rudely interrupted, there's one last thing I want to do in today's episode, and this might have meaning for only me and maybe one other person on the entire planet. About a year ago, my wife and I had a baby boy, our first child, and he's wonderful. And I think by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be his first birthday. So, little guy, little buddy, if you happen to be watching this in the far distant future, happy birthday. I love you, and you're pretty great. Now, the fact that I am in a single player world means that I'm, of course, going to have to eat this entire cake on my own, which, yeah, you gain a lot of weight when you become a parent, and maybe this is a reflection of that. But I will have to eat that cake another time because I am very much out of time for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. This was a very big project for me. Remember, I work a full-time job. I am a new dad. I've got only limited amount of time to play Minecraft during the week. So the fact that I was able to put this together, not half bad. In my mind, at least. Let me know what you think of the warehouse. I think it's coming along quite nicely. There's still more to do with the storage system and other things. And yeah, we're going to do a lot more in this whole industrial area over the course of the next year, decade. Who knows? Who knows how long it's going to take for this to feel finished. Last time I built a base, it took like a year and a half. So maybe that's a good timeline for that. But anyways, I shall see you guys in the next video where maybe we'll start using the auto crafting abilities of the crafter block and maybe start working on some kelp farming and super smelting and all that kind of fun stuff. Anyways, see you next time. Goodbye. Ooh, before I go, for those who are still here, shaders. Shaders. See ya.